My name is Katie Paris. I am the founder of Red Wine and Blue. I live outside of Cleveland. Red Wine and Blue has become a national community of nearly 500,000 suburban women working so hard to defeat extremism like these attacks on our reproductive rights all over the country. But it all started here, and we're headquartered in Ohio. This is where our heart is. And again, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Truly, this is a fight for our reproductive rights in Ohio. And not only that, it's a fight for our democracy, y'all. They are trying at the State House not only to prevent us from being able to protect our reproductive rights, but to even prevent us from being able to vote on it, to put it on the ballot. They're working hard every day to undermine democracy and make it harder to do citizen-led ballot initiatives. For 111 years in Ohio, we have had citizen-led ballot initiatives, and we're gonna have it this year too, because the people are being heard. And those who are trying to stop us keep pushing it back, pushing it back. They keep moving their deadlines because they know what the people want. This isn't a political issue. It's not a partisan issue. We are having women come out for this from across the political spectrum, from across the whole state, every county. Red, White, and Blue has members in Ohio from every county who are passionately involved on this issue. So we're so glad y'all are here tonight. And for such our most special signature training yet with Connie Schultz. But before we bring her on, I want to bring on one of my chief co-conspirators here at Red, Wine, and Blue, Julie Collins, who is reporting in from Central Ohio. Oh, there's Connie. Do we have Julie first though too? There we go. Okay. So Julie, thank you for joining me here tonight. I wanted to bring you on not only because you have been there from the beginning with me at Red, Wine, and Blue, which will always be so special to me, but I just know how personal this fight is for you. Can you tell us why, Julie? And Julie, by the way, is reporting in from Licking County. I'm in Cuyahoga. That's very important to know your county for the sake of petition gather.
Yes, yes. This is hugely important to me because I have two daughters who are in their 30s, and then I also have two nieces, one 8 and one 10, and I don't want them having less rights than I've had and that I was able to enjoy during my reproductive years. You know, I had the choice of when I wanted to have my kids. I had, you know, the ability to make decisions with my doctor. And I don't want my girls to not have those same choices. It's just really that simple. No one should have the right to take away a woman's choice of her reproductive rights, when you're going to have children, how many children you're going to have, all of that. And so I just really, you know, this is just really very, very important to me. And I'm going to fight. And we're going to get these signatures.
Yes, ma'am. I know with you at my side and everyone else here tonight, it is possible. Okay, so I want to make sure that, oh, here we go. I'm getting a very important, again, announcement here. So everything that you all want to ask tonight, hit that Q&A button. Usually we have the chat on for some reason. Zoom, who knows? Changing their settings all the time. Who knows? Tonight, hit that Q&A button if there are questions that you want asked, and we're going to make sure to get to them because getting your questions answered when it comes to signature training is so important. So usually it's hitting that chat button. Tonight, it's that Q&A button to make sure that you can have those questions heard. Okay, Julie, let's bring on our special guest.
Yeah, I am fangirling right now, I have to admit. Now, I know you ladies know tonight's special guest. She is our favorite Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. And boy, is Sherrod Brown a very lucky husband. Everybody welcome Connie Schultz.
Oh, I'm gonna text him. You said that right now.
Please do.
Thank you, Julie. It's so great to see both of you. At this point, I feel like I'm talking to family. We're having so many interactions on all this. And I want everyone to know I am looking at the Q&A just to see where everybody is calling in or tuning in from tonight. Checking in from. Wow, you are from everywhere. It is so inspiring. Thanks all of you for letting us know where you are tonight. I'm in Cleveland, the city of Cleveland.
That's right. Okay, so Connie, I know that you have been on the front lines of this fight for reproductive rights for a very long time.
Because I've been on this earth for a very long time. I'm 65. There's no beating around that bush.
Yeah. Can you put into context what this ballot initiative effort means for Ohio?
Well, of course, we want to center what it means for women's reproductive health and the right to control their own bodies, right? Our own bodies. And I mean, look, we have a family of 3 daughters and a daughter-in-law. We have 8 grandchildren, 4 of whom are girls, but all of whom are going to be raised to understand this issue matters. But you don't have to have any children to care about this issue, because that's not what got me here. I cared about this issue when I was a teenager, when I was a student at Kent State University, right? I've always cared about this issue. As you know, before I would go out with Sherrod, I checked his vote on 2 issues, and it had to be 100%. One was gay rights and the other was reproductive rights. I was 45 years old. I didn't need anybody in my life who wasn't already where I needed him to be. And I'm sorry that all of you can't check the voting record of someone before you go out with them, because I just think it's a really handy tool. What I'm also concerned about, though, is we're going to see more and more impact in other ways. We're going to get fewer people who are going to want to train here at medical schools in Ohio, certainly fewer women. We're going to have fewer women looking at our colleges at Ohio to go to school in Ohio. We're going to see, I think, the exit, the steady, it may be slow at first, incrementally, it's going to happen is my concern. We're going to lose a lot of young talent in this state. So while the most important thing is protecting women's reproductive health, I'm also worried about the health of the state in terms of just everyone who will be understandably moving because they don't want to be a part of this, including businesses who aren't going to want to locate here, or they're going to want to leave here because they can't hire the talented women they want.
Yeah, I get that. And you're saying that this is personal because of the young ladies too in your life. So how are you said that you wanted to make sure that they were knowledgeable about why this issue is important. So what are you sharing at the family dinner table?
Well, you can imagine our family dinner table. It's not a place, you don't go there for your quiet place. Our family is all of one mind here. The thing that women of my generation, and I never would claim to speak for all boomer women, but I got to tell you, we thought it was going to look a lot different by the time we were in our 60s. And, I was thinking about this earlier this evening. We didn't see Hillary coming, right? Losing that race. What we also didn't anticipate, as much as we knew about how bad it was to have Donald Trump as president, we are still living with the impact of his presidency. And this is Exhibit A. And I know that can get discouraging sometimes for people. It's kind of like, well, how long is that going to last? Well, I would say that's up to us. It is absolutely right now. It is up to us because, and as Katie knows, I don't normally get involved in petition drives. She and I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and I said, "What can I do?" Actually, you don't really have to do it, Katie. Katie has her list for you, right? I saw Katie last night at the Signal Cleveland event, supporting local journalism. I saw her ever so briefly because she had her petition. She says, "Hi, I got to get signatures." The second time I see Katie, I got 30, but I got to go get some more. That was the last I saw Katie, which I just love, right? But that is exactly the spirit we have to bring to this. And I'm here because I keep hearing from women who are really interested in it now, but they don't know how to do it, or they're really intimidated. They've never circulated petitions before. I understand how intimidating that can be, or they have friends they're concerned, don't even understand how vital this issue is, right? Women lead very busy lives and have so many different things to stress about, to worry about, to try to keep together. And now we're asking you to do this as well. But if you were wondering how you can feel that you have some sense of power in the face of all this that's going on, this is it right now. This is our moment.
Can I just affirm and bear witness that spoke so deeply to me, Connie? I mean, last night, all day yesterday, I just had one of those days where I felt like I couldn't keep track. I didn't mark anything off of my to-do list, got the babysitter in line to be able to go to that event. I didn't know you were going to be there. It was so fun to see you. I'm running around gathering the petitions, but those moments in the midst of a busy day of balancing work and family life, those moments of getting people to sign that petition last night, they were the most grounding moments of my whole day. It's just that direct feeling of like, will you sign this? People saying yes, people being so grateful for the opportunity, to participate in our democracy in that way. So it's just so true. And I just want to speak to it, like how real that is for me day to day right now. Like, I feel like this is where I'm getting my energy. It's like a form of, I think community care is like overlooked form of self-care sometimes.
Oh, I would agree
And
with you on that.
yeah. So anyway, thank you for saying that. And I'm really feeling that for myself day to
Well,
day.
you know what
One-
else you're making me think of? One thing, I
Yeah,
just want to acknowledge all the people who are here with us right now. This is in the middle of a busy week. Whatever it is you do with your lives, this is smack in the middle of a busy week, and you've made the time to be with us tonight. Sometimes people ask me, and they often ask Sharon, how do you keep going? Where do you find the energy? And I would answer what I will be saying for the next few days at least. Well, let me tell you what happened Wednesday night. I mean, all of you showing up, that's how I keep going, because there are so many who care. And I just want to thank all of you for taking the time to be here tonight.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you for saying that. All right. As a journalist, I have to ask you this before we're going to hop into this training to get everyone who is tuning in trained to collect signatures. As a journalist, what do you think the media gets wrong about women voters and the issue of abortion?
Well, they were pretty surprised by the midterms. So I guess that answers at least part of your question. They had no idea how worked up women were. I hate to say worked up. Look, we all care about the same issues here. We care about women being able to take care of their own health care and having reproductive rights. Most of us, including many, many younger women, really didn't think we could lose this right. And then we did, right? What I think men, okay, in journalism, media, but I often see it especially happening with men who are covering women. Please just stop doing that, because you don't know what you're doing much of the time. I mean, there are good ones out there, but oh my goodness. The thing is, you want to lump women together, or you want to factionalize them. And when you do that, you forget to see the common ground. And what we know from polling, very recent polling, is a lot of Republican women are really upset about the Dobbs decision too. And certainly a lot of independent women. And this is one of the things that we don't see it as a partisan issue, except when we look at who's trying to rob us of these rights. We didn't make this a partisan issue. The Republicans made this a partisan issue. And I wish the media, some of my fellow journalists, and you know my commitment to journalism, it is the mission of the work for me. It's I've been doing it for 40 years. But I want to encourage a departure from these stereotypes or trying to categorize women simply. We are far more complicated than many journalists want to acknowledge. And I understand it makes their job harder to get in the weeds and to come here and actually stay for a while and not helicopter in, right? I also understand locally, all the different places I'm seeing, all these different towns where you're from, there are so fewer reporters who are available to cover these issues. That's why it's so important that we are informed and take on the role of informing voters, because we're not going to have the same coverage even now compared to 2018, right? But when Sharon ran last, that's when I was really paying a lot of attention, or the presidential race when I was paying a lot of attention. And now, of course, I'm watching it all the time. So they get it wrong. But the good news is women know what they're getting wrong. We know, I mean, we can get frustrated with the coverage, or we can just decide the story is ours to tell. And that's one of the things I want to encourage women tonight. And I'm seeing some questions in here. What do we say to people who are full of misinformation? We're not here to get into a street fight with anyone. We're here to inform the public. And while I appreciate getting worked up, while I appreciate being flummoxed and just absolutely outraged when people say stupid things, what's so important for us, and I say this as a columnist of 21 years, is, all right, well, how do I start a different conversation? I'm not going to convince the people who are just so there. It's like an addiction to misinformation. I'm not going to change their minds, but they're in the minority. There are a lot of people who are hearing them and are confused. And that's where we can come in, because we come with the facts and we come to speak. That's why these petitions can be so helpful. It's in person. You're making eye contact. You're talking one-on-one, right? We're not asking you to tell us how you're going to vote on the issue. We're asking you to make sure that Ohioans can vote, because that's what it means to live in a democracy. You don't have to agree with everything to agree that people should have a say. So there's a lot of influence we can have here in this process.
Amen to that. And this community represents actually the fact that this isn't even a partisan issue.
Right.
We know actually that at least a third of the women in the red, white, and blue community are former Republicans and independents. And they are here because of shared values. We all are.
Right.
Okay. it is time to get to what we are all here for tonight. So I am going to pass the mic to our very own Jen Perez, who is the Ohio Program Director for Red, White, and Blue, to lead this training. Jen, who I just admire so much every day, who left a big job at GE, largely because of the Dobbs decision, and her dear daughter, who she wants to fight for, and she had to have her heart and all of her hands in this fight. So Jen, I am with admiration passing the mic to you to lead us through this training tonight, and Connie is going to be right along your side to make sure that we all understand it.
Thank you, Katie. As Katie mentioned, my name is Jen, and she alluded to kind of my previous corporate life. So I like to tell volunteers that if you're nervous, you've never done this before, don't worry, because I'm leading the team here at Red, White, and Blue, and I've never done this before either, right? The training is very simple. We're going to walk through it and show you how to actually collect signatures, ask questions through the Q&A, and we will get them going. So we are here to talk about the right to reproductive freedom with protections for health and safety. That is the official name of the amendment to the Ohio Constitution that we are trying to get passed, that we're going to get passed here. So on the next page, we have some information about what's actually in the amendment. And you can see we have a QR code there and also a short link. I highly recommend that everyone go read the full text of this amendment. It's one page. It's very easy to understand. So make sure you read it. But at a high level, what it's covering is the right for every individual to make and carry out one's own reproductive decisions. It's pretty simple. It does specifically call out abortion, contraception, fertility treatment, continuing a pregnancy, and miscarriage care. And I think, when a lot of us think about our reproductive years or people in our lives, you can see how many of these different topics impact all of us, right? We all have a personal story or some tie to contraception, fertility treatments, miscarriage management, or abortion. So the amendment itself does permit abortions until fetal viability as determined by a physician. Past that point, it allows for abortions in a case where the pregnant person's life or health is at risk, again, determined by that patient's physician. So it's really about keeping these decisions between an individual and their doctor, and not having politicians or lawyers involved in these discussions. So that's what's in the amendment. We're going to talk here for a second, some of the rules about how to actually collect signatures. So to be a ballot signature circulator, very few requirements here. You need to be 18 years of age, a U.S. citizen, and not currently serving probation or parole for a felony conviction. You don't have to be an Ohio resident to actually circulate petitions for this effort. So we are hoping that all of you are going to see how easy this is, and we're going to get petitions in your hand and get you out there collecting signatures. Okay, a little bit more here as far as the requirements for actually collecting signatures. So each petition book, I have one here, I'm going to hold up, I know it's not very big, but is 10 pages. And on each of the signing pages, you're going to have 5 boxes for signatures. So there's a total of 35 possible signatures in this book. Now, once you have your book, it is yours. You are the only person who can witness signatures in that book. So I can't, for example, witness the first 4 or 5 in this book and then ask Amy to take over witnessing the rest of the signatures. Once you witnessed one, it's your book. And then each book also can only have signatures for one county. So I live down here in Cincinnati in Hamilton County. I can collect signatures from any county in the state. I just have to make sure that each book only has one county's signatures in it. So I might have one book for Hamilton County, one book for Butler County, one book for Warren County, and I'll just carry those around with me so that when I interact with someone, I just ask them where they're registered to vote and make sure they sign the right book. Only Ohio registered voters can sign, and they will need to use the address that they're registered to vote with when they fill out the form. What else? What else is important here? So you can help a person fill out their box. We do want to make sure that all the information is able to be read and processed correctly. So in some cases, you might help someone fill out the box. The only piece you as the circulator cannot come close to is the actual signature box. That obviously needs to be the signature of the person who is signing the petition. And then you can't leave these unattended. I mentioned you have to witness each signature in your book, and it's yours. You can't go print off your own. You need to make sure you get books from us or one of our partner organizations. And you can't sign your own petition. So you can't witness your own signature, but you can witness everyone else's signature. So if you have other people in your house who would like to sign, they can sign your petition. You just can't sign your own. So that's it. I mean, those are kind of the details of what goes into actually collecting signatures. There's one last thing that if you're collecting signatures, on the last page of this packet is a statement of circulator form. And that basically is where you fill out and say, I witnessed 27 signatures in this book. So you'll write your name, the number of signatures that are in your book, and then you'll sign it to say, this is the number of signatures that I collected. Okay, so some of you noticed when you signed up for this training tonight that we had a little box that you could check that you would like a starter kit mailed to your house. So I just want to talk a little bit about what's in that kit. I had 30 volunteers in my house on Sunday, and we were just cranking them out. We packed 300 starter kits and dropped many of those in the mail this week. So we're going to get you all the swag that you need. We've got some great literature. We've got stickers. You're going to start with 3 petition books. So you could get up to 105 signatures right away with those 3 books. We're going to give you everything that you need to be successful to get out there and collect signatures. So some of you may have already got your packets in the mail. I know we did our first mailing on Monday, so some of you have those in hand. Some of you, they're on the way. And for some of you, we'll make sure that you have a link to request a packet if you don't have one coming already. So this is super exciting. It's been a great way to get petitions in people's hands really quickly so that when they finish the training, they can just go right out and talk to their friends and collect signatures. And then last, and I think this is my last slide to talk about training. Just remember to have fun with this, right? So I think Katie and Connie were talking about, like, it can be kind of nervous to do this the first time. So bring a friend, find someone to do this with you, have fun with the stickers and the swag. We've got a picture there. One of our regional organizers, her kind of swag set up, and people are just having fun with it. We do have shirts for everyone who volunteers with us. You can go onto our online shop and order a shirt using a discount code there, and it'll be sent to you for free. And then help us kind of spread the word. We're asking everyone to take pictures, post on social media, tag Red, White, and Blue, use our hashtag #RestoreRowOhio. Help spread the word, because what we're finding is if someone hasn't heard about this, which a lot of people haven't, then they likely have 5 or 10 friends who also haven't heard about it. So how do we help everyone kind of spread the word and create a buzz around this? I think, yeah. So again, I will just reiterate what Katie said at the opening. Like, we absolutely are going to make this happen in Ohio. There is so much energy around this effort. People are fired up to get this done. And so we're asking everyone to really, get your books, make a plan to collect 70 signatures. If we, if all of us on this call tonight, I can't do math quick enough in my head. If we all got 70 signatures, we'd be sitting somewhere in the like 15 to 20,000 signatures just from this call alone. So that's amazing. So make a plan, sign up to volunteer. We have plenty of events that we're looking for volunteers, and really carry your petition everywhere. Be Katie, right? Go to an event and just carry that petition. I know we've got people who are saying, hey, I got signatures when I was picking up my kid from school. I got signatures when I was going to the gym. You're going to get a button in your starter kit that says sign with me, and people will come up to you and find you when they see that button and ask you to sign. So have fun with it. You know, and thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. I've been writing down questions
Yes.
as you've been talking, because I thought that would be a way to go about doing this.
Yeah, for sure.
So there seems to be some questions on how they get these petitions. And if they said they didn't want to before, can they still say now they want to do it?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a form that we will send an email tomorrow, and it will have this form in it. I think the team, maybe, I know we're not using chat. I'm not sure if there's a way to share it now with everyone, but we do have a form. If nothing else, you can always go to our website, restorerowohio.com, and go to the volunteer page, and you can find your way there.
Oh, that's great. I noticed that some were wishing they had taken notes on the slideshow. Is that slideshow on the website as well? All the data that you shared?
That's a great question. If it's not, we will have it up within an hour.
Yay, great. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's the kind of response I look for.
Yeah.
Somebody wanted to know if they get these petitions, how do they find people in their county? What do you suggest in terms of and I see somebody's asking if we can get the permission of a business owner. Is it okay to be sitting in a coffee shop doing it, right?
Yes, absolutely. So that's a great way to do it. One thing I've been doing, there's an independent coffee shop near me, and I've talked to the owner and said, hey, can I just come here and work a couple hours every week and bring my sign and post it on the website? And they're all in, they're completely supportive of it. So I will post it on our Red, White, and Blue website. We have a very easy form that you can just fill out and say, hey, I'm going to be here. And then it shows up on our events page when someone is looking to find a place to sign.
Okay.
And then I'll also post on social media and say, hey, I'm going to be at the coffee shop from 2 to 4. Come find me. So that's working really well. I think a lot of people are just leveraging their network and reaching out to their friends and family to have them sign. And then again, we're creating events at, larger forums. So the Flying Pig Marathon is in Cincinnati this weekend. We will be there because there will be crowds. So we need volunteers to come help at larger scale events like that.
Alexandria just wrote that she takes her petition to the dog park, and she gets at least 5 or 10 signatures minimum every time. I would not have thought of that. I will say I saw someone collecting petitions in the parking lot at Giant Eagle in Streetsboro on my way home from Kent State. I had pulled in.
Yeah.
And Sharon and I saw somebody on High Street when we were walking to a restaurant in Columbus recently. So in part, it's where do you find a lot of people gathering, right? Is a great way to think about that.
Yes.
Somebody wanted to know, and I think this is an important question, how do we include more men in this conversation? Because of course we have plenty of men that we know who are in support of this. Do you have any thoughts on that, Jen?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And like you said, I mean, we need the men, we need our allies, right? As always, to help be fighting this fight with us. I know that for a lot of men, we said earlier, you shouldn't have to have daughters to care about this, but it is definitely something that men who have daughters seem to be able to relate to why this is so important. It's kind of like a turning point for them. I think at the end of the day, you mentioned some of the implications of what's going to happen as far as like businesses not wanting to be in Ohio, us having a hard time attracting medical professionals of all different disciplines to the state. These are all things that resonate no matter what your gender is. So absolutely, we need the men in our lives to not only support this effort, but be out there side by side with us.
Yeah. I see somebody's asking about why do we have to have different petition packets for different groups? The good news is we have 3 different groups that we know of, right, who are trying to do this, and we are all on the same team. And it's really important to emphasize that. This is not a competition, right? And it's not a rivalry. Red, Wine, and Blue has gotten involved because we want to help with this effort, and that's why we're doing it. And that's all this is about. So I support anybody who's willing to do this, and I know you do, because if we all keep in mind the mission of the work here, we're all working towards the same goal. If people are not, they have to be registered to vote, to sign.
Yeah.
When we meet somebody who says, I'm not registered to vote, but I want to be, what do we do?
We register them on the spot. So I
Right.
forgot to mention the starter packs that we're building out have voter registration forms in them. So you can absolutely register someone and then make sure that form gets submitted to the Board of Elections or your local library or mailed in. And they can sign the petition actually right away at the same time that they register.
Oh, that's great. So that's really important to remember.
Yeah.
There's some questions about 17-year-olds who will be 18 in November.
Yeah.
Are they still, first of all, because I see somebody saying that, but let's be clear on what it is. If you will be 18 by election day, November in Ohio, can you still sign a petition when you're 17? Can you still vote? Will you be able to vote in the primary if you're going to be, well, some places don't have it, like in Cuyahoga County, we have no primary right now. Let me start over. Let's say it this way. If you are 17 and you'll be 18 when you vote, can you sign the petition as a 17-year-old?
Yeah, and it is, like you said, we just had our primary yesterday. We do have some new voter ID laws. But absolutely, if you are 17 years old, you can still register and you can still sign.
Okay.
As long as you will be 18 by the time the election comes around.
Okay. All right. So apparently, now I have not seen these, but apparently there are some ads up in certain parts of the state that are already full of misinformation about this ballot issue. And I'm wondering, first of all, what are the worst things that you're aware they're saying? Somebody asked specifically, is it true that parents will lose all rights with their minor children in terms of decisions about reproductive rights if this passes?
Yeah, so the ads that the opposition is putting out are appalling and they're full of lies. So the number one piece of advice that we give is do not repeat the disinformation that's being spewed in those lies. Stick with those ads are not true. Here's what is true about the amendment, right? And that's where you can go into talking about what the amendment actually says about reproductive care in the state of Ohio and protecting those rights. So we don't want to repeat the different disinformation, but we absolutely want to say without a doubt, those ads are full of lies.
And I want to emphasize to everyone, and I wish more of my fellow journalists would keep this in mind always. George Lakoff, the linguist, wrote about this years ago. Repeating a lie gives it power. And that's why we don't repeat the misinformation, but instead we pivot to what is accurate, right? Yeah, and that can be hard to think about in the moment when people get aggressive about it, right?
It really can. And, you know, we tell volunteers practice saying that because it can, like, you can have a visceral, like, emotional reaction in your body, and it helps to practice feeling those words come out of your mouth.
Yes, and I'm a big believer. Look, I've watched my husband through how many debate preps over the years. It's really helpful to ask him the absolutely worst questions and get him used to it, right? And that's where I first learned that rehearsing this with friends, fellow petitioners or just friends, and anticipating some of the worst questions, so you've already heard them and you know how to respond to them. It's human nature to have a visceral response to this stuff.
Absolutely.
What are common mistakes you're seeing when people sign petitions?
Yeah, great question. So the boxes themselves lead to some confusion. So like you put your first name in one box and then your last name in a second box. So that's something that as I'm working with someone to sign, just helping them walk through what they actually need to fill out. The good thing is if someone makes a mistake, we can just cross it out and start over. That's
good to know.
For,
okay.
Right. We're there to help make sure that they're signing accurately. But yeah, I would say filling out the boxes wrong is the number one mistake. And then people not knowing exactly what county they might be registered to vote in. And we can always help them look that up in the voter registration.
Okay. You know, I remember Katie was one who I signed Katie's petition, and the writing's kind of small, right? And it was a little dark, and I didn't have my reading glasses. And I said, Katie, but yet maybe I did, and I still couldn't see it. I said, Katie, this is a little hard to read. She says, this is why I'm guiding you.
Yes.
Block by block, so that I would get it right. And I did, because Katie was directing me. So I want to remind people, if you have voters, well, look, I hate to break it to you, over 40, you're already starting to have trouble reading things. So if you have voters who are having trouble reading it, that's what you're there for. You're going to help guide them, and you're going to be so familiar with it that you're going to put them at ease when they can't see something.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I want to talk about safety for just a moment
Yeah.
because we have not been getting, am I correct? We are not getting reports of people being harassed or harmed in any way by doing this so far.
Right. That's
But
accurate.
but the activity is ramping up because it
Yeah.
is going to, we've got 2 months now. What do you recommend for people? What are some of the guidelines that you give petitioners to keep themselves safe?
Yeah. So we do acknowledge that this work, it can be challenging and people might say mean things to you, right? And so our advice is just don't engage with them, keep your distance. Again, similar to thinking about how to respond about the ads, be prepared with a response and just kind of keep your distance and don't engage, right? They're going to feed off that energy if you're giving them a bunch of anger or negativity back. And so you got to stay calm and walk away. If there's ever a situation where someone feels unsafe, they should actually absolutely, call the police for support if they feel that that's necessary. And then we do ask for people to reach out to us as well. A lot of our volunteers have our cell phone numbers and things like that. We're happy to support, but just try not to engage and walk away for sure.
I got this advice from an interview I did with a woman who was a self-defense instructor, and it came from her own personal experience. So I'm going to share it here because I tell my students this all the time. I tell women at every group I speak to whenever I remember it. Keep your cell phone on your person.
Yeah.
Do not have it in your book bag or your purse or anything. Have it on you. Have it in a pocket. Have it strapped across you in a crossbody thing if you have one of those little phone holders. But always keep your phone on you because it's that way you can grab it quickly if you need it. And again, we're not trying to frighten people. We're not getting these stories yet. Although I did see somebody said that a petitioner told her that she was told she was going to go to hell. If I had a nickel for every time somebody's told this columnist that, man, well, I'd still be living in Cleveland, but at least I could have afforded a mansion had I wanted one. People will say what they want. They will call us names. I always think of my favorite all-time quote. It came from an interview with the late Black poet Lucille Clifton, who said, "What they call you is one thing. What you answer to is something else."
Absolutely.
Right? We will determine who we are, and we are telegraphing who we are every single time we show up with a petition.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I know we have one of our volunteers who's out there doing the work. And, I think Paige can also provide some great guidance and answers when you are talking with Paige.
Yes, I will ask Paige as well, because she has been out there in the trenches. You're right.
Yeah, for sure.
That is a summary of what I'm seeing out there on the questions. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you think is important to discuss, Jen?
I think those are the key questions that we get. I know we have one more slide to show up with our real call to all of you to scan this QR code. I mentioned these large scale events. That's where we're going to get a bunch of signatures. So we have events scheduled throughout the state. Over 100 are on our calendar right now, and we need volunteers to come staff these events to collect signatures. So you're going to be working with other volunteers who've been trained by any of the partner organizations. And so this is our QR code. Scan it now and go find an event that fits into your calendar and go collect signatures.
Hey, Jen, I see a question here about once they get those signatures, once their booklets are full,
Yeah.
How do they turn them in?
Sure. So we will give you all the information that you need. Essentially, you're going to hand them back to a Red, Wine, and Blue team member, whether it's another volunteer or someone from the team. We do have the option to ship them back via UPS or FedEx, but really we prefer just hand them to someone in person so that we can kind of just double check everything and get them into the flow to get them counted towards our goals. Paige is joining us. She is our lead volunteer in Summit County, and her work takes her to many counties across the state. And she's someone who's been spending every free moment that she has gathering signatures wherever she goes. She's really walking the walk here. So would love for Connie and Paige to talk about her experience being out there in the field.
Paige, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. And it was a pleasure to meet you last week.
Yes, I was so glad we did because I could put a name to the face. Paige, because you've been so active in doing this, can you share a little bit about what this experience has been like? And what additional advice would you give that we haven't covered yet? Or perhaps you want to respond to, at greater length to some of the things we've been talking about?
I have just been really enjoying doing this work. I've been very passionate about it. I was appalled by the Dobbs decision, and was very excited when I saw that Red Wine and Blue was holding trainings. I think I signed up for one of the early trainings, and I've been collecting signatures since mid-March, I think.
Goodness.
And so as Jen was saying, I travel around Northeast Ohio and Northwest Ohio for work. And every time I just find an hour here or there, I go to a shopping area, or I went to Mahoning County and did an event at a Panera there. And then I walked up and down some strip centers and, collected 25 signatures. I was out in Wood and Lucas counties and collected signatures. So just pretty much any free time I have, I find somewhere to go. In addition to scheduling events, I have an event scheduled at the Fairlawn Library on Saturday, and attending events that other people are scheduling as well. We have a very active Indivisible group in Summit County that we partner with in getting events scheduled.
All right, I have a question here. I'm a little shy. Nobody believes me, but it's true. I would be really shy about revving up. I'd have to give myself a pep talk. And I'm wondering, are you one of those people, or are you just naturally, you're ready to roll? Or do you sometimes have to give yourself a pep talk too?
I'm generally shy as well, but for this,
your dog's disagreeing.
Dogs.
You haven't seen her yell at me to get out of the mud.
For this, I kind of go in with the attitude that
that's all right. We can hear you.
I go in with the attitude that I'm never going to see these people again. So it really doesn't matter whether they agree with my stance or disagree with my stance, or if they say something mean to me, I'm never going to see them again. So
yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
So when I'm at these shopping areas, I just say, hi, would you like to sign my petition for reproductive rights? And they either say yes or they say no, and they walk away. And it's pretty easy. Sorry.
What'd you do? Sounds like you flipped a switch and it's over. Have you had anybody saying negative things to you?
I've gotten abortion is murder. I've gotten, what about the babies? Don't they get a choice?
Right.
I've gotten one of those people who engage you in conversation and debate to kind of keep you from your work.
Yeah.
And so
what do you do when that happens? What do you do when that happens?
I engage in the conversation, thinking that I'm educating them. They're asking questions about the amendment and they ask to read the amendment. So I engage in the conversation with them until they just continue. And I can tell they're just trying to suck my time. And I say, well, would you like to sign it? And depending on what they say, I say, okay, that's fine, but I need to move on.
That's good. I mean, it sounds like you just made clear that you've got work to do and you're not going to keep standing there and talking about it, which is a great way to do it. What else I'm imagining being somebody listening to this who's never done anything like this before in her life, right? And I'm wondering why'd you get involved in this issue in the first place? Why was this the thing that brought Shy Page out to the streets of different counties to collect signatures?
I've been somewhat involved in politics for years. Like I generally do canvassing for our local politicians. So I'm a very out and proud liberal. I'm very outspoken on Facebook, but I do have a hard time debating in person.
Mhm.
So, but I know it's important, and I kind of go in with the attitude of, if not me, who? So, we have 288, if not me, who people on the line now. So
Wait a minute, we have that many people here right now? 288?
I think
My
so.
goodness. Wow.
238.
Wow. Look what you did
Um,
tonight. Holy cow, everyone. Thank you for being here.
So, we have to do our part if we want to change Ohio and get it from red to purple to blue. Somebody has to do the work. And so I feel that I need to do my part. And reproductive rights is just something that I've always found to be a very important issue. And I've never had a personal experience that has personally affected me, but I'm a woman, therefore it affects me.
What would you say to those? And this is one of the things I've been hearing from some women, that they have family or friends who've been surprised that they've been willing to do this, right? And those are often challenging conversations. Do you have any advice for them on how to, I imagine because you're so liberal, that's not been a secret in your family anytime, right? For a long
No,
time.
and my family is very liberal as well. So,
But we certainly have people who are here who are not coming from that background in terms of families and stuff, right? And what words of encouragement would you offer them?
that's hard because it's not my personal issue, but people that I've spoken to, who come from very conservative households, and they are pro-choice and have become liberal minded, they often tell me that oftentimes they just stay away from politics with their families. If they want to maintain good relationships with their families. Other people are able to just have those conversations. Regarding the abortion debate, it's important to bring up, this isn't just about abortion, and abortion is not just being used as birth control.
Right.
I spent a couple hours today there's a whole bunch of documentaries on HBO Max about abortion and the abortion debate and women's stories. And there are so many reasons why women have abortions that have nothing to do with just, I got pregnant and I don't want this baby. And people don't understand that it's more than that. There's miscarriage care, and
right, which we are seeing more of that coverage. I mean, those stories are starting to get out, and they're really harrowing often. Susan asked a good question here. She said, I'm currently collecting signatures, but only with people I know. I am interested in approaching people I don't know, which makes me ask this. This is why I'm asking you this. When you first approach somebody, what is the first thing you say to them? The first couple of things. How do you explain what you're doing?
Generally, I just say, hi, would you like to sign a petition to support reproductive rights for women? And sometimes people aren't quite sure which side I'm on. So they'll kind of look at me with a strange look and be like, what exactly is this for? So I'll go into an explanation of what the amendment is. And some people just need to hear that I'm either pro-choice or pro-life. And then if they hear I'm pro-choice, they'll be like, okay, yes, right person, I'll sign. And you just want to have a very short tagline to
I can
get
see how that would
person.
be helpful.
Yeah.
How often do they ask to see the actual language of the?
Not frequently. I've had several people ask to read it, but I think most people, once they realize that this is a pro-choice initiative, that's enough for them.
How many, in your judgment, how many had no idea this was going on until you approached them?
A lot. When I'm out just at random shopping centers, most of those people don't know this is going on. People who come to events, they know because they're coming to the event. They're seeking out the event.
Right.
But when we're at Rubber Ducks games, or we're at, the shopping centers, or, random places, a lot of people have no idea that this is going on.
I see a comment from Barb that it's so much easier to go the first time with a buddy, to have someone
Yeah.
else who's working with you. Do you tend to work alone, or do you tend to work with somebody?
When I'm just out and about, I'm working alone because I'm fitting in an hour here, an hour there, depending on what my work schedule is. But when I do events, I do them with other people.
I can see how doing it with someone, first of all, it just makes you braver, right?
Yeah.
I think when I have to do a really difficult interview, sometimes I wanted a colleague. It was great to have a colleague nearby because I knew this was going to be a tough one and somebody was going to be yelling at me at some point. I'm not saying that's going to happen when you're doing the petitions, but we can feel braver in the presence of a friend. It also reminds me, somebody was asking much earlier in the Q&A, well, if I can't sign my petition, how do I sign one? If you have a buddy with you and you're living in that county, you can sign your friend's petition, right? That's an easy way to do that. You mentioned oh no, before I do that, somebody had a question. If people don't know if they're registered and need to confirm it, where do we send them quickly? Is it the Secretary of State's website? Is that the fastest way?
Yeah, and actually some of the red, wine, and blue information that they should be getting in their starter packs has QR codes for the Ohio Secretary of State.
Great.
So
Okay,
they
that's
can
great.
just look up their registration right there.
So I think I see somebody asking for the 30-second elevator speech. I think with meeting strangers, I think we just got that from you, that's basically how you approach it, right?
Yeah.
I've noticed a number of people asking how many signatures we need. How many do we need for this ballot issue to get on?
We need just over 418,000, and I think we're shooting for between 700,000 and 800,000 because a large number of the signatures are going to be invalidated.
Well, there's a lot of enthusiasm. I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
whether
interrupt you.
they're illegible, or they're just not neat enough, or somebody made a mistake and crossed out and they just don't want to count it. So to be safe, we want to double our number.
Wow, that says so much, doesn't it? But so that's what we'll do. We'll just make it impossible for them to do that. You mentioned Facebook a little bit ago because you were talking about how you're openly liberal on your Facebook page. And I'm thinking of so many people who are on this call who have active Facebook accounts. How can they use Facebook to help educate voters about, I'm wondering, I think of Katie talking about take selfies, right? And make sure that you share those. And Julie said the same thing. Share those selfies of you doing this kind of thing. Facebook's a great place to do it, not just Instagram, but on Facebook, where you can start a conversation. And I'm wondering, have you done
and
any of that?
Nextdoor? Yeah, I post all my events on Nextdoor, on numerous Facebook group pages. And I, like this event I'm having in Fairlawn, I sent the little event graphic that we have. I sent it to all my Fairlawn volunteers and all my Bath volunteers, and asked them to post it on all of their social media. So you can get the word out. We had an event at the Twinsburg Library, and I posted it in those various social media groups, and we got over 100 signatures.
Wow. Oh, that's wow. Hi, Katie. Katie's back.
Hi, I'm back.
Yeah.
Connie, I could listen to you ask questions all day. It's like a sweet journalist lullaby. And having Paige answer and hearing that on the ground perspective is so fun. We are getting to the end of our time with this massive group, definitely the biggest training I think that's been held anywhere in the state yet, which is really, really exciting. Connie, thank you for doing this. It's just like we discussed, so we got to build the urgency. Yes. One thing I want to underline that Paige said in answer to your question, and I have experienced this too, most people have no idea that this is happening, that this effort is underway at all. And there's something really magic that happens when you get to be the person to tell them. And one thing I want to say too is that, are there some haters out there? Of course there are. And just by human nature, we can sometimes have the one bad exchange or the one negative comment, kind of be the thing that might weigh on us. But my ask to all of you, and this is like how I talk to myself too, is just like set that intention to be of service and to connect with all the people who know nothing about this yet and they're going to go home and tell other people to go and sign it too. And they are how we spread the word all throughout Ohio about this amazing opportunity. I can't tell you the points of connection I have been able to make, like with yesterday was my Uber driver on the way to that event with you, Connie. I mean, he was amazing, and we took a selfie together, like he
Wow,
wanted to
that's
sign.
great. That's
And was I a little bit nervous to ask my Uber driver? Did I wait until we were almost to the destination so I wouldn't make it awkward in case he disagreed? Yeah, sure did. I waited until the last few minutes, but then it ended up being like a highlight of my day. I just want to emphasize how much, like, what an opportunity that we all have. And I will admit, I do this, and I was nervous too when I first started. Even it feels like kind of a big step out of that comfort zone, but the reward is awesome. And bringing friends. Connie, I know you can speak to this. It's all about like gathering our squad, and
Absolutely. I
the
talk about
most
that a
fun I've
lot.
had.
Well, and
Yeah.
as you may recall, when you first called me, the first words out of your mouth was, too many people don't know about this yet. Right?
Right?
That's all you had to say to me. Because that is the experience. And I want to say something else. Your Uber experience really gets to the bigger point here about activism. Everybody starts somewhere. There's something that gets us going. And then we're one person before we got involved. We're somebody else after we did. And this could be that moment for so many who are a little nervous about it, haven't done this before. You will be someone else after you do. And that someone else is really a thing to behold in yourself. And when you do it with other people and you're never alone in it, but you're certainly not alone in this, there's so much support here for you. It can change you in such positive ways. And I say this, as a columnist, when I first got started as a columnist, I was very nervous. I really didn't anticipate the avalanche of response, and neither did my editors. And it was pretty sobering at first, but then something happens in you and you realize you've got this forum and you want to make the most of it. And I would say to you that every person who didn't know about this ballot issue until you showed up, that's somebody who you changed by letting them know. And it's important too, we can emphasize, we're not asking them how they're going to vote. What we're saying to them is everybody should have a right to vote on this issue. And that can be an important pivot for you if they start to argue about how they feel about it, right? I'm not asking you. I'm not telling you how to vote. I don't want to know how you're going to vote. I'm simply saying, don't you think everyone has a right to weigh in on this? So there's a lot of power in this. And we are not being dismissive of the nervousness of it, the initial anxiety of it. But I'm telling you, you won't feel that way after a while, and you'll be somebody else. And it's a great feeling.
I love that. I've never heard it put quite that way before, Connie. And I wrote it down, as I often do whenever I talk to you. I have my little Connie notes. And then tomorrow I'll probably tell someone to make a graphic out of some of them because they're just like serious. It's true. All right. So that's our parting words for you all tonight. A big dose of gratitude for being here at what I truly believe is the biggest training yet there has been in our state of Ohio, to embrace this opportunity for what it is, to recognize those jitters and nervousness, like, hey, that's real, that's part of it. But maybe try to think of it as an invitation, as an opportunity for a little bit more connection with people, not only in your life, but in those orbits, those people that you pass by. There is an opportunity for greater connection through a cause and just those conversations that could happen. And, at the end of the day, what more are we meant to be here for than to connect with one another? So,
and again, mentioning being here, I just want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. What an honor to spend time with all of you. Thank you.
So thank you, Connie, and thank you to everyone who participated tonight. Everyone, use this QR code to sign. You are trained. You know how to do this now. You are thoroughly trained. Materials are on the way. So sign up now to volunteer at a signature collection event. These are places where people are going to be. These are, okay, I'll speak to up in my area in Cleveland. We have Samantha Bee coming into town soon. We have Lizzo coming to town soon. What are the chances that most people attending those events are going to want to sign? Very high. So we need as many volunteers as possible to join us at events like that. We have Dear Heaven Hansen coming to Playhouse Square, a wonderful show where we know many like-minded people will be. So we're going to be there. Come with us, come be friends with us, collect signatures with me. Use this QR code or put in this URL Sorry we didn't have the chat, but due to technology, there are QR codes. We're all used to it by now. We look up our menus this way. So don't be shy. We're going to leave that up on the screen for another minute so everyone can click on through and sign up. You'll click through, you're going to see over about 40 counties listed. If you don't see your county, be in touch. We'll work with you to create an event there. But there's about 40 counties already listed. You find your county, you click there and pick a location, something that speaks to you. I guarantee you will find new friends. So thank you for being here tonight, friends, and I will see you out there collecting signatures.